We have seen a huge shift into algo-driven companies entering the market. How do you think that affects transparency of the markets?
We need to have a discussion on, is this the right 10 years from now, or how do we need to adapt them all?
We shouldn't only look backward and say, we did a great job, let's keep on doing this.
Do you think the policymakers are following the trend of developing so quickly as the energy market is? And when we're looking at both on the European Union level, but also Europe as a whole level.
I have a big respect for politicians trying to understand how the market works.
Were there any particular pressures that you needed to overcome to kind of keep growing, service the customers?
Biggest change probably around 2015 when we had one couple European market. I think that was a big milestone. We have one integrated European market, and that's unique in the world.
So, hello everybody and welcome to this episode of Time to Talk. Today it's a very special day because we are in Aarhus, sunny Aarhus today. And we have Tom Darell, the CEO of Nord Pool, as our guest. And you know, Paul, we don't really often get the chance to invite someone face-to-face to our studio. So I feel very privileged and honored that Tom allowed us this opportunity to have an amazing chat about the latest developments and background with us today. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Tom, can you, just to start out the conversation, could you briefly introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself and the journey to Nord Pool?
Yeah, sure. So my background is actually not that long in the energy sector. I come more from the tech and IT and telecom space. So I'm a business, bachelor in business, MBA on top. And then I came into consulting, and the end of the Dotcom sort of, I was a part of, not a part of sort of building the bubble, but trying to save the remains after the bubble burst. So I had 20 years in telecom, and then in 2018, I started in Volue. And which is was a Norwegian software company, which is now an international energy software company. So I sort of learned the industry from there. Learned trading solutions, asset optimization, software, price and market forecasting type of software solutions. And then in 22, this opportunity in Nord Pool came along. So I've been CEO for 4 years now.
It's amazing. So it looks like, you know, once you enter the energy industry, there's just something about it. You get addicted, and then you only move forward.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it's a super interesting place to be, and there's an interesting parallel to telecom, because if you think about from 2000 with mobile internet and the mobility and the ubiquitous connectivity was changing society, and it was so relevant, so much in focus. I feel energy has taken a bit of that interest in space now, so I'm sort of reliving it.
Your second youth.
Yeah.
And you know, actually, while we're in Aarhus, today is the Danish regional day of Nord Pool. Can you tell us a bit about that? How often is this event, and why Aarhus?
Yeah, so we are operating a market, an exchange in 16 European countries at the moment, and we are servicing 5 other countries with our technology. So we are in more than 20 European countries. And one of the things we want to stay close to the customers. So we have a tradition of having national, regional events. Now it's Denmark, and had a great opportunity to meet the customers, to discuss, to share information. So that's why we are in Aarhus today.
Perfect, perfect. So to take a little bit of step back, can you tell us a little bit about Nord Pool? Can you explain what Nord Pool does and its role in the European power market?
Mm-hmm. Nord Pool has a proud history because it was the first energy power exchange ever. There is a debate whether it was the first one because someone is saying that Chile was also early, but that's so far away. So from Norway, or Europe, so I can claim it in a verified way. So 30 years ago, 33 years ago, when Norway changed their energy law and decided to deregulate the market, Nord Pool was created in '93, and then this Norway, Sweden got connected in '96, and then Finland and Denmark. This was the beginning of the integrated European market, the way I see it, because that was the first cross-border trading that took place, and the idea back then was the same as today. It's to better utilize resources. It's about security of supply because we have such a weather-dependent system. So that was the start of Nord Pool, and today this journey has continued. We are in 16, operating the market in 16 European countries today, soon 17. We expect to also have 6, 7 markets that we are servicing with our technology. We are providing data. We have time series going 35 years back. There is a big interest for data and enriched data offerings. We are providing services close related to market design issues, and we are about 200 people. The big head office is in Oslo. Helsinki is one of the bigger offices. We are also in Stockholm, Paris, Amsterdam, London, Vilnius. So yeah, that's Nord Pool today.
So you're not just only a power exchange, but you're also a data provider, a service provider. You offer consultancy services. You are a tech and IT company offering the exchange as a service to other markets. Yeah. What does it take as a CEO to run all these different things, which all have different interests, basically?
Yeah, I think it's healthy to have more legs as a company. Of course, the biggest revenue generating part is the variable fees based on traded volumes in day ahead and intraday. But we also see that the data business is fast growing, and we're trying to enrich the sort of data sets and the offering on that side as well. And the services business is very much supporting also our vision and brand, because we are providing academy courses, which is where we offer our expertise in training purposes. We are providing consulting services to countries that are setting up an energy market. We are using also the consulting services to deliver technology services. And we have also developed a fourth leg, which is TSO services, helping TSOs with market surveillance as a service. So I think that is just giving us a better foundation and more sort of career opportunities also for our people.
Thank you. You mentioned there TSO surveillance. The traders are, of course, used to surveillance either from themselves or regulators, that all the rules and regulations are followed. What type of surveillance are the TSOs after? Is it similar kind of surveillance?
So this, I'm sure the TSOs do a lot of market surveillance that I'm not necessarily aware of, but we have been supporting TSOs in setting up market surveillance for the balancing markets and the reserve markets. And I think that's a space where we have seen a lot of activity lately, even more so with the need for balancing is growing as we get more intermittent energy and more imbalances. And I think that's also a continuous evolution on their side, and we have a lot of experience in this field.
So to build on this as well, then how do you think the role of the power exchanges have evolved these past few years? And were there any particular pressures that you needed to overcome to kind of keep growing and
Yeah.
service the customers?
I think the biggest change probably was in around 2015 when we had one coupled European market. I think that was a big milestone. Before that, it was more on a national basis. Now, since then, we have one integrated European market, and that's unique in the world. We have the most advanced energy market or power market in the world, and it's a huge machine, which is every day making sure that we are able to find the intersection between consumption and production, to produce a price and to clear the market, and not once have we. Even in 22, when we had a deep crisis, we were able to produce a price every day without going in any sort of default. I think what has happened more recently is also quite impressive, because if you take the time period between June 24 and today, we delivered intraday auctions in 13th of June 24. We delivered flow-based market coupling in the Nordic in October 24. The TSOs delivered a new balancing market setup in the Nordic, at least, in March 25, which also had an impact on the overall ecosystem, right? We completed 15-minute time resolution wave 5 for intraday in May 25, I believe. And we went live with 15-minute time resolution for day ahead in October 25, I believe. So all of this we did within 20 months. So I think we are constantly evolving the market, right? And the reason we do it is because the generation mix is the main reason we do it is because the generation mix is going from flexible assets to intermittent assets. That's the main driver, right?
And what does it take from an exchange to deliver all these deliveries? Because you have, of course, the TSOs that are involved, you have other exchanges, you have the price coupling region, the whole PCR group, the NEMO committee. It's all cooperation of different parties and actors to realize it. But what does it take for you then to realize these integrations?
Yeah, it's a lot about technology. I see us as a technology company. We are a platform company. Which means that if we do it right, we have also a very scalable business model. But first and foremost, I would say this evolution is to a large extent linked to the ability to develop and deliver technology to enable these changes. That's the main sort of success factor. And we also saw that we have insourced all technology in Nord Pool, all core technology, because we saw that by having the value chain from development to operations to clearing in-house, we control more of the parameters in that value chain. And we can only sort of blame ourselves for not being able to deliver, but we think it makes us more flexible and responsive to the needs.
I hear a lot about efficiencies and optimization in your story. And for example, you also support the North Sea Link power interconnector. You have your 2 auctions. Is that also a sign of you as Nord Pool chasing optimization and efficiencies, that you don't like to see the decoupling markets like what we have in the UK?
Yeah, I think we believe in the integrated market and the most efficient use of resources. We see that the need for interconnectors in the green sort of transitioned environment is much higher, because we have an even more weather-dependent system. You always have some surplus somewhere and some deficit in a different place, and there is a need to move energy have an optimized price picture. So I think we believe in that in the integrated market, and the interconnectors are a very crucial part there.
A lot of participants on the explicit borders, the interconnectors that are not coupled, are of course the speculators, and specifically after the whole 2022 energy crisis, of course, we have had a bunch of those entering the markets. How have the assetless traders affected Nord Pool's activities and strategies?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I see, in the market, we need the sort of counterparts, right? Because a liquid market is a market with a sufficient amount of buyers and sellers, because that is creating less spreads between the bidder, the buy and the sell side, and that makes the market overall more effective. In that sense, I see them as a bit a grease in the engine, or oil in the engine. They are, as I see it, an important part of the market, and they help to provide liquidity to the market.
These past few months, there's been a massive shift at the Nord Pool house, namely, the shift to the Euronext clearing. Can you tell us what was going on in the engine room? Of course, you were counting down every day, but before that, what has led to the decision to take this step? And then how did you experience it, from the operational perspective?
Thank you for that question. That's a very important project for us. And, we as Nord Pool have been thinking about, we were at a strong position in physical power, but not in financial power derivatives. And I mean, in reality, there is a symbiosis between the two markets, right? So we felt we were missing something in terms of having a more comprehensive offering, and being a more relevant partner to our customers. But we also had the constraint that we are not financially regulated as Nord Pool, and didn't have the sufficient building blocks in place. But with Euronext as the majority owner, who is running, financial infrastructure across Europe and stock markets across Europe, and having a financial regulated clearinghouse, we are combining the best of two worlds. We have the local market knowledge, the local presence, the sales and product side, business development side sitting locally. We have a Nordic desk sitting locally, but we are utilizing Euronext. We're listing the contracts in Amsterdam. We are operating the market from Paris, and we are clearing it with Euronext clearing in Rome. So it's, I think, it's a success story of bringing this together. We had also been, to your point about the background, we had been encouraged by market participants to come back into this market. And we did a consultation over some months about what would be the right offering for the market and how should we do this if we do it. And we had very encouraging feedback there. And we therefore announced in August 24 that we would do this. As we went into this organic project, we also had the opportunity to reach an agreement with Nasdaq to buy their business, or to buy their right to transfer their open interest. And we announced that in January last year. And I think that was, of course, also giving us a head start. And that migration of customers from Nasdaq to Euronext Nord Pool happened 16th of March. So now we are 1 month into this, in its early phase still, but it has been very successful. very happy so far. And I think we have a lot of work ahead of us and a lot of plans to evolve this further.
Amazing. Good to hear. So you already have the first feedback, the first sign of things to improve indeed, and then.
Yeah, I think we started now with the offering that the product structure that the market said they think is more suitable for the Nordic and the Baltic area, and we will of course continue to work with market participants to discuss what would be the right offering for the future.
Yeah.
We also will be looking at geographical expansion beyond the Nordic area. And so I think we have quite a few things ahead of us.
As Nord Pool, you're expanding rapidly with either your exchange services in new markets or just offering physical power markets on Nord Pool Spot. But how is your internationalization going from a client pool perspective? You're very Nordic rooted, of course. Yeah. Lots of clients here, but how is it going if you go further to CWE, Southern Europe? Are traders able to find you? Is it for spec reasons? Is it for asset reasons?
No, my experience is that we have very, very strong awareness and I would say relationship with the entire European trading community. The main driver behind our growth the last few years have been the growth in continental Europe. We are today 1/3 of all intraday trades in Germany goes through us. And that's significant because Germany is still making up more than half of the intraday volumes in XP. So we have seen, I think we have managed to have, if you look at our membership base today, it's quite diversified between the Nordic and continental European customers. And I think these companies are also so international of nature. So it's not. I think they value more someone that can have a pan-European presence from a marketplace perspective.
How do you get more foot on the ground in international? I mean, it is a competitive sphere, of course. How do you realize it? Is it having key accounts on the ground? Is it a cost measure? Is it delivering on the highest quality? How do you tackle that?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's an interesting question because doing business in 21 European countries now, and we are not a huge organization, but we try to sort of be smart about it and to strike the right balance between. We have I would say central functions currently mostly in Oslo. We have all tech and IT development in Helsinki. Very diverse team in Helsinki, and then we have more some regulatory and legal functions sitting more sort of closer to particular markets, and of course sales sitting locally.
This is exactly what I wanted to ask you on that. How do you balance this, the market design to match that versus where the expansion, and of course every market has its own perks, what you can do and you cannot do, and so you still have to find that match that will also suit you as an exchange and the needs of the clients. How do you balance this?
Yeah, you're right. I think even though we have a European framework for day ahead and for intraday, and we have European legislation on the energy sort of side, we still have national regulators and national ministries as key stakeholders. So we need to work also at that level to discuss whether it's advocacy work or more practical sort of solution-oriented market design-related work. So that's why we and also with local jurisdiction we need some language skills and right. So we have people in Germany, in London, in Paris, sitting with different sort of background, also in local jurisdiction. On the sales side, it's a bit more, what should I say, straightforward. I think business is local. I mean, business is local in the end. Business it necessitates relationships between people. So we have the entire sales organization sitting locally, and I think that's the way it. At least for us, that's the way it works best. Because you need some customer intimacy and trust.
What type of developments do you see in market surveillance and regulation? Do you think that it's getting more tough, more difficult for market participants to be in this market as, let's say, smaller physical players here from Denmark? Are the challenges becoming bigger, or have we found a sweet spot in control and trading opportunity?
I think a challenge with, I described the big projects we have been delivering. I think there is a general feeling that the market is becoming more complex, and the market is harder to understand. I think the introduction of flow-based is an example of that. Before it was like the power would flow from the high price area to the low price area, to the next area next to you. Now with flow-based, there is a much more sort of you could optimize 2 or 3 sort of steps down the road, and it's a bit hard to understand things unless you spend time on it. And I think some of the market is becoming more complex, and I think that is a concern because the market is basically about the way I see it. It's about the most efficient use of resources. It's about security of supply and transparency. I think, but I do think that transparency is becoming more difficult as we are making the market more complex. The reason why we are making the market more complex is again related to the fact that we are in an energy transition, and we need to compensate with more granular mechanisms for the fact that we are losing flexibility on the generation side. So it's related, but still a bit challenging.
And where are we going now with this market? It's becoming a lot more complex, of course, more technical integrations like the 15-minute auctions, like flow-based market coupling. But you could say it's already an extremely well-established, efficient market. So what are the challenges ahead of us that we're going to face, also on a technical perspective?
I think we have achieved quite a lot, but I think we will continue to see further improvements, or not necessarily improvements, hopefully improvements, but sort of evolutionary steps. I think this co-optimization is something that the policymakers are thinking about now, which is optimizing day ahead and the balancing markets more in conjunction. I think another thing being discussed now is that a flow-based methodology for intraday markets to better utilize capacities, which could also help to alleviate a bit of the imbalance challenges we have. If you can use the intraday market more effectively for balancing, you can also help to sort of alleviate some of the pressure on the balancing markets itself, right? So I think we will continue to see these things evolving. I don't have all the answers, but I think that's a couple of examples.
I just wanted to ask here one question, and I don't know if this is okay to talk about, so we will decide. But I was just wondering, like, as the energy industry as evolved as it is, do you think the policymakers are following the trend of developing so quickly as the energy market is? And when we're looking at, well, both on a European Union level, but also on a Europe as a whole level.
That's a key question. I think you're touching on something very important because, you have some layers here in the sort of hierarchy, right? you have politicians in the end deciding, and then you have the policy makers that are proposing to politicians. And then you have the ecosystem of market participants, industry associations, TSOs, NEMOs, or NEMOs means exchanges, trying to influence the outcome. So I think the policymakers, whether it's related to the Commission, national ministries, national regulators, or ACER, I would say that they have a pretty deep understanding of what we're doing. The challenge, but still, I think we have the risk that some decisions become more academic than really sort of practical. So there is a big need to connect the community with the policy makers to make sure that they are putting forward the right measures. The second part of it is actually more complicated, and that's the political part. I have a big respect for politicians and politicians come and go. So, but for a politician to really understand how the market works, on one hand, and then on the other hand, having a lot of pressures from constituents telling them that energy prices are too high, and why is this price area next to me, 5 times the price, and why do we have marginal pricing? It doesn't make sense that the most expensive, the last source of energy that you need to cover consumption is setting the price. That means that everybody is paying you're paying the highest price for everything. To explain why the marginal pricing, to explain why the model makes sense, exactly, and to explain why there isn't a better alternative, that is quite challenging. So I think there's a pressure from the people, from within the society related to power prices, on one hand, and making sure that we are not therefore making wrong decisions. I find difficult.
And it's even more difficult to make any sort of influence once a consultation has been published without actually consulting the markets, or a new policy, for instance, CBAM, has been introduced again without the input of the market. So I can imagine how challenging it must be, especially for you on the forefront.
Yeah, I'm also the chairman of Europex, which is the Association for Power Exchanges in Brussels, representing all European power and gas exchanges, physical and financial. So also in that role, I'm closer to the policy side and to the political side of things. And I think we need. I think the answer is we need a close collaboration across the ecosystem to make sure that we make good decisions for the future. Simply.
Do you believe that the model that we have here in Europe is so good that it is basically also your sales pitch to other continents when the Nord Pool consultants are on the ground?
Yeah, this is I guess not a new discussion. I think there are two schools here, right? And I don't know too much about the other school, but I think you have the European model based on marginal pricing and larger price areas. And then on the other hand, you have the US model, which I understand is more on a unit level and more on a nodal, granular, decentralized level. I'm not in a position to really sort of contrast or compare the two, but I do think we have a model that is fulfilling its purpose, but I also think that we need to have a discussion on, is this the right model 10 years from now, or how do we need to adapt the model, right?
We shouldn't only look
No.
backward and say we did a great job. Let's keep on doing this.
Yeah. No, I think we should definitely. I think we have chosen a path, and it's an extremely complex. If you look at the EU 27 plus Norway, and you have Switzerland in there, and you have the UK, about 30 countries, and you have energy community countries coming in from Southeastern Europe. 35 countries maybe at some point in time, 37 maybe with Ukraine, Moldova. So you don't change that overnight, and there has to be a reason for changing it, right? So I think we will see a gradual evolution, right, for the better.
To keep the thought of evolution, we have seen a huge shift into algo-driven companies entering the market. How do you think that affects transparency of the markets?
Yeah. First of all, maybe take one step back and say a big change in the another big change in the market, which I probably should have mentioned. I mentioned the market coupling, pan-European market coupling. Another big change is the growth in intraday compared to spot, right? It's huge, and it continues to grow a lot because the continuous market serves an important purpose. Because with more intermittent, with more renewable energy coming in, there is a need for trading closer to delivery, because you simply don't know exactly how tomorrow will be from a wind or solar perspective. And of course, the second element is also that the intraday market itself is opening up for more arbitration and speculation. But the good thing about that is that it also helps to create a lot of liquidity and making that market effective. So that's that's an important mechanism. And intraday is about 20-25% of the total volumes. If you take Denmark, for instance, where we are now, I think we saw 43 terawatt hours traded in intraday last year in Denmark. If you compare to Norway, it's 3.5. So it's 10 times more. And one reason, of course, is that Norway has much more flexible assets. So the need for trading intraday is lower because it's easier 36 hours in advance to nominate, because you have flexible hydro. Of course, there is also a trading perspective to this, which is very sort of relevant to talk about when you are here in Aarhus or Aalborg. But to your question, I think also so in order to. The thing is that the transaction size in intraday market is much smaller, and there are much more trades. And the only way to really operate this in an effective way is through technology. And that's why you need the algo trading, right? To enable it. So I think the algo trading has enabled this growth in an important market for the energy transition. At the same time, you can argue that things are less transparent in some ways. But I think we still have the same price discovery mechanisms, and we still have the same market surveillance for that as well. Mm-hmm. So we are. I see that as a good thing.
Do you think that the market participants, especially the new ones, understand how the price is formed today?
No, I think it's becoming more difficult. It's becoming more difficult for us also. If I look at the prices, the spot prices for tomorrow, and take a first glance, it's more difficult to understand it by just looking at it. You usually need to look a bit deeper, and the main reason for that is the introduction of flow-based market coupling. In total, it makes the market more optimized, and the use of resources more optimized, and therefore also the price levels, the socioeconomic sort of maximization is higher. but it makes it more difficult to understand.
So if you could change one thing in the European power market design today, anything, the world is your oyster.
Yeah.
What would you change?
Yeah, I think we have an interesting time now because we have this CACM 2.0, which is a big legislation for the energy markets, which came as a result of the EMD process, this law that was passed in July 23. So there are some discussions there related to how to govern or to the governance aspect of the market. Because today we have about 17 NEMOs and we have 27 TSOs. And currently we are governing this together, right? And I think that there has been some frustration with amongst the policymakers that this governance process is too complex and too cumbersome. It takes too long to make decisions and take it into implementation. I do think there is. I agree that we can improve that, make that governance more effective. And I think that's what the CACM 2.0 wants to achieve. So we support simplifying the governance and having different voting rules and try to speed up the decision making. The second part of that legislation we oppose because it is also talking about centralizing the decentralized market coupling price mechanism. Because today we have each of the exchanges are collaborating in producing a price, the same price, because we have a coupled market with a common order book. And we think this is something that works today, and it also creates resilience in the way that if we have problems, there is a backup coordinator that ensures that we are able to produce a price anyway. And so we think that the governance aspect of it can be improved, but we think this decentralized market coupling we have today is actually a strength, and there is no reason to change that.
And when we look ahead into the next years, what is your biggest strategic focus for Nord Pool?
Yeah, we have a lot of exciting things ahead of us, I think. I mean, we will continue to make sure that we can deliver resilient day ahead and intraday solutions. For us, the financial power derivatives launch is really important. We want to make sure that we have an objective to grow the liquidity in the financial market in the Nordic and Baltic. We also are looking at geographical expansion to continental Europe. We are also seeing ourselves as quite successful in this delivering technology to other exchanges. We are currently delivering to 5 other exchanges. We want to further develop that business. We also see that the interest for energy-related data is really high. Because you have an efficient, energy management of buildings. You have EV parks, and you have different kind of energy efficiency optimization measures, and you have all kinds of media is very interested in energy data. So we will continue to enrich the data offering. We also have new strategic topics like flexibility markets. How will this develop? Which role can we take to enable that? We have a couple of pilots on that. And the last topic also is that on the acquisition side, if we have the sort of right strategic opportunity, we will of course evaluate it and see if we have other adjacent business opportunities, which are more non-organic.
I think it's still quite amazing, that you as a company are so agile and can so quickly respond to, well, first of all, diversifying your portfolio, growing, but also to these day-to-day challenges that we're facing not to name anything, but again, from market design perspective, from participants, inquiries, all this, I think is just really amazing that you're able to match some of these needs that are naturally coming your way.
Given that, and you're not here standing only as CEO of Nord Pool, but also as Tom, yes. What makes you as a person most proud in this journey over the last years?
I just want to, you said something I just want to comment briefly on. What I think is one of our strengths is, and what we're discussing in the company, is the agility and the ability to be responsive to customer needs. But we try to be agile in sort of our inner life, in the way we develop and the way we sort of change things if we think we need to, and in our responsiveness to the market. But because I like what you said. But to your question, I have a very cliche answer, but it's true. And the people. We are always sort of taking things for granted and talking about everything we're doing, but we have a fantastic team. We have a very competent and motivated organization, and I think that is something which is not mentioned so often, maybe, but which deserves being mentioned. So I think people, competency, motivation, drive is you come very far with that. In addition to that, you need a clear direction, because you have to sort of prioritize your efforts sufficiently to have enough sort of force into the execution. So I think our ability, the people, the skills we have, and the ability we have had so far to deliver on our projects, I think I would like to mention.
Thank you. I think it's truly remarkable to acknowledge that, without the right people, no matter, how big you are as a company, you really need the right people to be able to do that. So you're there for the market as well, but the market is also there for you because you are a great team. So thank you for that. And I think we always like to ask this question. It's my favorite question when we're finishing an amazing chat. But Tom, what do you think? What would your advice be to these new market participants that are entering the sphere, maybe for the first time, or maybe, both with and without the experience? What would your advice be for these participants?
I think in the energy, in the power space, it is, I think you mentioned it, it's like a community, right? And I think it is like a community, and I feel people are also quite open and inclusive. So for new market participants, I think I would think it is beneficial to reach out to the community, be part of different events and sort of I think people are quite willing to share competencies, insights, and experiences. So I think I would reach out to us if there is anything we can help with. We will.
Subscribe to Time2Talk.
Subscribe to Time2Talk.
Yeah. Just kidding. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much for today, Tom. I think it was a great chat, and we are ready for an exciting afternoon here in. Where are we again?
In the heart of Aarhus.
Yeah, that I knew. Central Regional. Yeah.
Danish regional events organized and hosted by Nord Pool. The agenda looks amazing for today, so we look forward to be part of that. And Tom, one more time, we're just so grateful for your time today, that you really took time out of your agenda to be here with us. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the insights that you have provided us and the audience, and we just can't wait to be in touch again. Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.